I'm Pauline from Dust, and I'm here to talk to you about what we learned building Dust for 2.5 years. Do some of you use Dust in the room? Yeah, thank you so much. So Dust, we are building a platform to let any company put their company data in Dust and then let their employees build agents. We are super grateful and happy to work with exceptional customers like Cursor, Venta, Clay, in France, Miracle, Doctolib, Conto, and our journey started with this crazy challenge, letting companies build their abstraction layer to ensure they can build agents and manage fleets of agents at scale. I'm pretty sure you all talked about this study from the MIT. But when you read beyond the headline, what you see is that most of the time, why does it fail? It's because most of the agents created are kind of chatbot assistants, and they lack customization, they lack memory, and I would say, most of all, they lack context. Because as you heard maybe this morning, as Yann Lequin was saying, we humans, we are animals made of many, many contexts. And why AI is so stupid sometimes is because they don't have the context we have, the meta context we have to understand the situation. So that's why very early on, we were pretty crazy, I think. I remember that it was in August, September 2023, and we decided to launch custom agents. So we were stopping talking about one assistant back then, but Stanislas Polou, so you might have heard about him, he's our technical co-founder at Dust, used to work at OpenAI in the early team. And he was very convinced very early on that agents could be only with highly customization. That's why very early on we started building those very customized agents, and we said we want, as much as we can, to ensure that any person that is curious at a company who has the knowledge about how their work can build an agent. So you shouldn't be an engineer, you shouldn't be someone technical, you shouldn't be an AI person to build an agent. That's what we started working on back then. And this is exactly the first version of the product we shipped back then, and that is still used by our users. How does it work exactly? So you might have heard about many keywords like RAG, MCP, context, most of them. And what we built is really a platform to let a company put their company knowledge, as I said. So it means you can access the ambient knowledge of the company. And then you can also create localized action, retrieve local information, add a tool to execute an action as well. And as an employee, because you know how your company works, you can put your tribal knowledge, you know, that knowledge that's not written anywhere else than in your head. And this, you can encode that into the memory of the agent. So in a few minutes' time, you can build an agent with this. Another challenge we had to be aware of and to be mindful of was permission. Because most of the SaaS replicate user permission. We talk about user permission. Whenever you think about governance within a company, whenever you think about data as well, what you need to do is really to ensure every human has the permission, the access rights they need to have to perform their work and to do their job. But in a world of agents, it can't work this way because we think like tomorrow we have fleets of agents and we have workforce, we have employees, and we will have fleets of agents as well. And so that's one of the trickiest part of our product we worked on, because eventually we had to decouple those permissions. So how does it work? It means that when you create a DOS workspace as a security team, what do? You put your knowledge within the company. Then you add this knowledge into different buckets, different spaces that are restricted or open, which means that as a human, you can access some part of the knowledge based on your permission. But then when you create an agent, you create a new set of permissions for the agent. So the permissions of the agent are different, are decoupled from the permission of the human. Meaning that when you want to create an agent that can perform tasks in the background, that maybe will use data some humans can't use, the agent can do that. And this was again, like kind of a visionary thing to do, even though it was very an hard sell sometimes because it's a new paradigm, but it was part of our success as well. Understanding how to reinvent the way people should interact with data and the way agents should interact with data safely within a company. You might have seen this framework as well, and that's not a DOS framework for sure, and actually it's a customer of ours who they used this framework, Miracle, to think about their data strategy and their AI strategy. And that's why they ended up working with DOS, because as you might see, level 0, so basically it's buttons. There is very light intelligence, so you can replicate this framework at work, and the control of AI is really minimal. At level 1, the individual controls are more automated. So this, I think, is could be something like. Well, I think you understand that. I'm sorry about that, a bit of a bug. But like the individual vehicle controls are automated, so you can set it up, but it's still highly controlled by humans. Level 2, you have more control from the car, and level 3 is a kind of in-between state where you can define where the car control everything, and where sometimes in some situation, and when the human can take control back. And that's exactly the kind of level we are building currently at Dust. So at Dust, how it works, you can, depending on the data and some tools, as a security person within the company, you define if this workflow or this tool or this set of data is high stake or low stake, which means that by defining that in a centralized way, then your employees, when they build agents, this risk policy is replicated throughout the platform. And this was another layer that was very important to us to ensure we could actually build workflows, that our users could actually build triggers as well, and triggers that can be human triggers, but triggers that can be also an event, something happening somewhere, to ensure you can actually run workflows of agents in the background. The other topic that was a tricky one, and is still, to be honest, a tricky one, I don't know if you listened to the latest episode of the Dwarkesh podcast with Ilya, but basically today we know that because the labs, their main objective is to validate that their models are great, they overfit by default on evaluations, evals. And when you work in the context of companies, actually, evals can be quite limiting. What you want to ensure is observability for several reasons, because you want to create effective agents and you want to deploy them at scale. And to create those effective agents, there is no way to do that except from trusting your people on the ground, knowing how this works, how things work to do that. That's why we think about observability as something very local, as well as macro at the company level. So how does it work exactly? Is that when you are an operator, you will build these pieces of agents. Then, as I showed you in a slide previously, you can combine those agents together to build a workflow and ensure you have accurate, smaller agents for each step. And then, when you execute an agent, you can actually inspect everything that was done to execute the workflow. And this is something we keep iterating on, and we are also working on adding features to the administrator of a workspace to add set of tests and compare agents between agents, because something I forgot to mention, my bad, but that in Dust you can create agents using all models, because we are model agnostic. So basically, you can create one model using Gemini, one model, the same exact one agent using Gemini, the same exact agent using another model, and you can switch based on what works and what doesn't work. So I'm on time, and so to do a recap. So what we learned is that actually the vision of helping companies and employees understanding what are the atoms, what should be this workflow or this agent made of, was super interesting and super valuable. Because as a human, sometimes when we interact and try to build an agent, it's really tough to understand, to explain, to prompt everything, and you might say, for example, create an agent to do KYC, or create an agent to do, and you know the result. It will be very poor, because actually you need to decompose every task, every data, everything to do to perform this workflow. And having this approach of combiners, so basically you start by finding the right data set for this specific task you want to do, and then creating those smaller agents, and then bringing them together to then create a workflow of agent was super useful. The other problem we had to ensure we were addressing was the trust, and how to also ensure, because trust is not only something you can create within a tool, it's something you create by training people. So that's why very early on we decided that everyone at a company should be able to create an agent, because it's a way as well to train everyone, to augment everyone, and to ensure everyone knows what is an hallucination, what good looks like and what bad looks like. This is what we do with observability as well. The last one, before the last one, the trust. So every company, they have a data governance. They have also a risk policy. So ensuring they could define this risk policy within the platform was really important. And the last one, since the beginning, we try to be as much as agnostic as we can. That's why with Dust, you can bring in all your internal tools, whatever the tool. You can bring in Snowflake, Salesforce, Microsoft, Slack, you name it, either because we have a native connector or because we have the API you can use, or MCPs. And also, we very early on, we decided we wanted to be model agnostic. because you want to choose and you want to ensure you don't depend on one model to build your workflows. So this was about Dust. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much.